Hello, Love Bay family, and welcome to Wildcard Tuesday on the Mental Health Hour, right here on Love Bay, Afrobeat music, and talk radio. I'm your host, Felicia Fischhoff, registered psychotherapist and founder of Rooted in Resilience, Psychotherapy and Wellness, where we believe that healing is not just individual, but also cultural, communal, and deeply personal. Today's episode is titled Stress, the tax we pay for ignoring ourselves. If you've been running on autopilot, brushing off the warning signs, or pushing through exhaustion because you feel like you have to, this conversation is for you. I'm joined today by the incredible Gillian Wells, MSW, RSW, a respected therapist, coach, and mental health consultant with over 20 years of experience. Jillian works with high achieving individuals navigating stress, burnout, and life transitions, helping them move from survival to clarity, confidence, and purpose. Her work is deeply rooted in equity, culture, and faith, and she brings a grounded, insightful voice to every space she enters. Together, we'll get raw and real about how stress shows up in our bodies, the emotional toll of ignoring ourselves, and why it's time to start paying attention to those red flags before they become crisis points. We'll be getting real practical tonight, so you don't want to miss this. And we want you to be part of the conversation. So, Love Bay family, the chat is open, and we welcome the Love Bay community to share your thoughts, questions, and yep, that's me, moments live as we go. And as always, please remember the Mental Health Hour is a space for reflection and education, but it does not replace professional therapy or mental health care. If you need support, we encourage you to seek out a licensed provider in your area. If you know someone, whether a friend, colleague, or family member who's been burning the candles at both ends, invite them to tune in tonight. This is a conversation we all need to hear. So let's get into it. You're listening to Wildcard Tuesday on the Mental Health Hour. This is Stress, the tax we pay for ignoring ourselves with Gillian Wells. Jillian!
Hello, great
I
to
am so
come.
beyond excited to have you here with us today. When you said yes, I was like, yeah, I was cheering because I just know that you have so much to bring to the Love Bay family today.
Well, I'm excited when you said that. And then when you said Love Bay, I thought we were meeting at a beach somewhere, but that's all right. I'll take you up on
Hey,
that another time.
next time, next time, next time. So, Jillian, tonight's topic is stress.
Yep.
Stress! The tax we pay for ignoring ourselves. Why is this topic important for us today?
I could just say people just take a pause and look around us. I mean, like that just covers everything, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
think about stress, one thing I've noticed about what's happening today, it's gotten closer to home.
Yeah.
So as social workers, we're taught to look at the world in three different lenses. The macro. So when I think of the macro, I think about what's happening globally, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
politically, what's happening in
Yep.
terms of the environment, war, things that we don't have any control of, and we may not even participate in it. It may be so far away, but we know enough about it to sort of tax our souls a little bit, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
we have the meso, which is somewhere in between, which is really our community that we reside in. It's where we live. So that could be anything from
Mm-hmm.
crime rates to the economy to
Yep.
job opportunities for ourselves and our loved ones. And then
Yep.
we have the micro, which is basically ourselves, our household, that micro unit.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be our relationships, ourselves, our home life. And I could say, I don't want to always say it's unprecedented times, but it's unprecedented times. And it doesn't matter what's happening. It
Yes.
feels like if it's not directly impacting us, it's on our minds. So
Mm,
it's stressing us. We have, just because of all the social media, the 24 hours news, we always have
yeah,
access to it. And it's
mhm,
not good to always have access to these things.
absolutely. So we're constantly being bombarded by
Yeah.
things in different levels. I love how you broke down the different levels. And I love how you're just jumping out the gate. You're just giving us a 1-2 punch because we need to hear this
Well,
conversation.
here's the thing with stress, right? Stress is like being in a smoky room. You know,
Mm,
you can't help but inhale it. And I'll be honest with you, if someone
yeah.
says, "Well, I don't have stress," I just get kind of nervous and back out of the room because I'm not too sure if I really believe you or trust you. We're
Yeah.
all just impacted at different levels, and
Yeah.
I think that's what people are really trying to convey.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So when you talk about the fact that I love the analogy that you just used or the imagery that you just used, that it's like we're inhaling smoke,
Mhm.
right? Even in your work, what are some of the different areas of stress that you're noticing a lot of people are experiencing right now, 2025?
Yeah. And you know what? One of the things I love to do is I love to educate. I think it's so
Yeah.
important. I'd actually humbly do not believe that I'm going to tell anybody anything that they don't already know. But I
Mm,
do believe I'm going to tell people things that they now need to pay attention to. I think that's
uh-huh.
what a lot of the education is. It's not that you don't know. Have you
Mhm,
been paying attention to things? And so here are things that I just continue to see time and time again. Now, I
mhm.
tend not to lead with mental health because that's a great way to clear a room. I don't care how educated we are, how far we've come. I love to hear things like, "Oh, I don't have mental health." Sweet pea, you do. You do.
Mm,
But we're
mhm,
not going to go there. So I don't tend to lead with mental health. I try and lead with a language that I think is going to
mhm.
resonate with folks, right? And so when I
Yeah.
think about that, and I just really want our listeners, I just want to grab your attention for a minute, right?
Mhm.
And here's the thing is stress has likely creeped up and taken residence somewhere in your body. Okay? So,
Hmm.
I have a little inventory. So, as I say these things, anybody who's listening, just sort of put a mental check mark besides the things that you have experienced the last day, the last week, the last month, the last 6 months.
Mm,
Have you had clenched jaws? Like when your back teeth are just really, really clenched and your tongue is clenched jaws.
mhm,
Shallow breathing. Where does your breath go to? Is it just shallow? That breath needs to go all the way down to your belly button. So
mhm,
most of us are doing shallow breathing. How about your shoulders? Are
mm,
your shoulders up to your ears? Take them down a notch.
mm,
Stomach issues, upset stomach, poor digestion, poor sleep, hair falling out,
mhm,
tingling sensations in the skin, and even heart palpitation, feeling nervous or restless and unable to focus. Now, it's likely that you can recognize one or two of these things, or maybe even more, but not recognize that this might be a response to stress. Now, how do I know that? I'm not a doctor. Okay? Not a doctor, a social worker. But I have enough clients where I'm like, oh, you're experiencing these things? Yeah, you better go see a doctor. And then the doctor turns on and sends them back to me. Because after
mhm,
running the tests, doing all the blood work, the conclusion is this is how you are responding to stress. You do not need medication. You likely need to talk it out. And I
mhm.
find that so, so interesting because here's what I've noticed in terms of the trend. I am seeing things like, again, folks telling me tingling under the skin, falling down in the bathtub, or going
Mhm.
out to the store and forgetting where they were going. Now, you might say, Jillian, well, that's whatever. But yeah, under the age of 40, actually probably under the age of 35. And that's what makes it so alarming. From an
Yeah.
age perspective, that is kind of what I would have thought I would have seen from older clients. So then I started to
Mhm.
hypothesize what's actually going on. And the
Mhm.
common denominator, the thread that runs through is response to stress.
Mhm. Girl, you just threw down the gloves. You're like, let's go. And I love how you talk about the fact that many times, clients will come to us. We're like, okay, go talk to your family doctor. And then they were like, nope, you deal with them. And I think that, especially in our communities, we're afraid to seek out therapy because we're like, I don't want to tell nobody my business. But the thing is, when we stuff it down, it pops up in other areas of our lives. And we have to process it. We have to do the work and figure out the root cause of our stress.
Yeah. Not only does it pop up into other areas of our lives, it pops up into other
Mm-hmm.
areas of our body.
Girl,
Right. Right. It,
talk
it,
about
it,
it.
it, it pops up. And here's the thing is Black women were disproportional. Like you can finish that sentence. We are disproportionately impacted. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so we are disproportionately impacted because of the loads that we carry. We carry heavy loads, loads in
Mm-hmm.
our family, loads in our community, with our children,
Mm-hmm.
overworking, overperforming. And then we don't tell anybody, we
Yeah.
push it down, and then we're carrying that extra load. We were not meant to carry that much load.
Mm. Girl, you need to say that again. Say that again for the Love Bay community. Come on, girl. Come on.
We think we've got broad shoulders. Broad shoulders were meant to be wearing nice blouses. It wasn't meant to carry the world on. We do not need to carry it all ourselves. We'll
Mm-hmm.
carry it further if we can carry it collectively.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love that you talked about collective healing because I know that our culture right now is very individualistic, but really we heal in community. So
Yeah.
what does it look like?
Well, you know the funny thing is that I failure. I was prepared for you, and I said she's going to ask me about healing. She's going to ask me what we're going to do, and I'm not going to answer her. I am not going to answer because you know why? I will have people come in and say, "Okay, this is happening. This is happening. This is happening. How do I fix it?" I'm like, "Well, there's a really big pause in between what's
Mm,
happening and how do we fix it." I think we
mm-hmm.
run to healing. Let me give you I listen, I got stories for days. So I'm gonna take that question and I'm gonna park it, but we're gonna get back to it. And I'm gonna tell
All
you a
right.
story about somebody who did something. But I
Mm-hmm.
want to go back to the fact that it's a tax. Can we just
Mm.
pause there for a second? It's a tax.
Yep.
Here's the thing is that there's costs. Okay, so when I travel to the Caribbean, which I do a lot, I love the fact that I can buy a roti and it's $10. I give them $10 and that's it, right? But we
Mm-hmm.
know other countries like where we live, there's usually a
Yep.
tax, right? So there's
Uh-huh.
the cost and then there's the tax. I
Mm-hmm.
think when we think about life, there's a cost. We gotta,
Yep.
we're wives, we're partners, we're workers, we're mothers, we're all these things, and that's the cost. The tax
Yeah.
is that extra bit that we
Mm-hmm.
did not see coming that we now have to
Mm.
pay. It's the
Yeah.
additional cost above and beyond the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are constantly paying the tax. I'm
Yes.
thinking, going back to high blood pressure.
Mm.
Okay. I'm going to chronic diseases. I'm going to the diabetes, the cardiovascular stuff. And I know, I know I sound like a doomsayer, but I think I do that to maybe like take every woman by the shoulder and shake them and go, hey, listen, I need
Yep.
you to pay attention. I really
Yes.
want to pause and pay
Mm.
attention because if we jump to healing, we don't even know what we're trying to heal from.
Yes.
And then we try and
Yes.
shortcut it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we can't do that, right? So we make our bodies
Yes.
open and susceptible to so many diseases. So I think oftentimes I'll tell people, I say, hold up, hold up, hold up. We need to sort of pause
Yeah.
and we need to see that there is a cost when we ignore things. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so the other day, my oil light engine went on my car. It went on, and I was like, oh, I've got no time for this. Like, where am I going to squeeze this in? So
Mhm.
I got to change it, but I'm too busy. Here's the thing is, if you don't change your oil in a car,
Mhm.
there will be damage. Let me, I'm not a, for all my car enthusiasts out there, like, bear with me. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about increased engine wear, overheating, sludge buildup, reduced fuel efficiency, engine damage, and even voiding the warranty. That's what would happen if you don't change your oil. But hey, if you change your oil, it's like about $40, $40 to $125, and it takes about
Mhm.
20 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay. So when in your car, it says oil indicator light. I used to think it was a warning, but it's actually an indicator light.
Mhm.
Then, if you ignore that, you get a warning light. And if you
Mm.
ignore the warning light, then you get your car will eventually malfunction. So where am I going with this?
Mm.
Car enthusiasts and stuff like that. So let's continue with this analogy. Cars will give you an indicator. It's the
Yes.
gentle reminder. It's the nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So in our bodies, it could be like, I'm really tired. I have a little bit of a cough. My
Mhm.
back is hurting a little bit. A little shallow breathing. Okay, we
Mm.
ignored it. Then we have the oil warning. Now
Mhm.
that's taking it up a notch. That's when we're open to a lot more diseases and issues. We may get colds more frequently. We may have aches and pains that stay a little bit longer. We could have flare ups.
Yes.
If you ignore that, the car malfunctions. It could stop while you're driving in the middle of the highway.
Mm.
You and I can end up bedridden or in the hospital if we continue to ignore everything else. So here's the
Mhm.
thing is, it's a progression. Listen,
Mm.
stress doesn't just drop on us, it's a progression.
Yes.
But we like to ignore progression. So people will come and say, oh, this happened. I'm like, did it just happen? Yeah, it just happened. But then when they tell me the story, it's like, oh, it was a progression. You just chose to ignore the first 15 warning signs and then called it sudden.
Mhm.
There's nothing sudden if you have been ignoring something for years
Yes.
or months.
Mhm.
So I think the healing actually comes in the pausing and reflecting and
Yes.
stopping and thinking and going, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. What is it that we need to heal from? We need to recognize what we're
Mhm.
actually doing that contributes to the harm in our body.
Mm. Mhm. So what I'm hearing is that this is a call for us to slow it down and actually begin to pay attention, right?
We have to pay attention because we ignore it.
Mhm.
We ignore it, and that's a subtlety. I really try to be intentional about the title, and
Mm.
I wanted our audience to
Yes.
know that it's likely you we have been ignoring it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think we ignore it for a few reasons. I had to dig
Mhm.
around. And as a good therapist, it
Mhm.
always starts in childhood. But I had to really think. Does it really start in childhood? It's like, hold up, Julie, we're supposed to be talking about stress. Wow, how did we get to childhood? We're supposed to get
Mhm.
to healing. Yeah, I'll have to wait
Mm.
for another episode on that. So I'll tell you why I say it starts in childhood. Do you recall? I'm sure you recall. Little child, little girl,
Mhm.
maybe a sibling or somebody's taken a toy or something has happened to you, right? And you
Mhm.
go to an adult, or you go to your parent. And what do they say? What's your problem? I don't understand what is wrong with you. Now, the caveat here, what is your problem is actually posed as a question, but is actually a statement. It's not,
Yes.
they don't actually really want, they don't, you're not actually supposed to answer what is your problem. It's really a statement,
Yeah.
right? So what do we learn as little people? We essentially learn as little people that our problems and concerns are not that important. You're
Uh-huh.
not that big.
Mm-hmm.
We're making more of it than it really is.
Absolutely. Or, I know that even in my own experiences, what do you have to be stressed about? You have a roof over your head. You have food on the table. You have nothing to stress about. And, really overlooking the fact that everyone is allowed to be stressed.
Well, that's what you just did was a course correction. But if you don't have that course correction, you actually do grow up believing that your stress is not worthy. It's not validating.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
what you do is you get stressed at work, but at least I have a job. You get stressed in your
Yes.
but at least I'm married. You get stressed, but and so what we do is we quickly reduce it. We go
Uh-huh.
very reductionary. We quickly say, uh-oh, don't
Mm-hmm.
complain about what you have. You should be grateful. So just really
Yes.
deeply rooted stuff. So then all of a sudden you don't have no problems.
Yes.
And
Thank you, Benjamin. Benjamin said, Jillian, I love the warning lights analogy. Yeah.
Heart,
Thank you,
yes,
Benjamin.
there you go. You know, and so
Yes.
yeah, so you're right. So we never learn to actually make sure we have space and to acknowledge it. So what I do find people will come and they'll talk really, really quickly, a mile a minute about their problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll go,
Mm-hmm.
but oh well, you know what? I am just so grateful for it. I'm like, how did we just jump over because they
Yeah.
never they were never given space, so they
Yes.
don't take space.
Mm.
They were never
Hmm.
given it, so they don't take it. So they'll offload all the stuff and then, oh, but you know what? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's all is good. All is good.
Yes.
So we become dismissive of our own experience,
We gaslight ourselves.
right? We become we adopt the narrative that was
Mm.
given to us. That's why oftentimes people will hear, well, let's talk about your childhood. And it's not that anybody was raised bad. It
Yeah.
was really the perspective of problems. We're just in a different
Mm.
time in which we are making more space and room to acknowledge that, yes, you are responding. That stress response is to a problem, and it's okay to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We have to take the time to acknowledge, and it's okay to acknowledge that things are going on because I know that you mentioned earlier about, the course correction. We can't course correct if we don't believe that it actually exists.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And again, when people hear about childhood, I'm really big on saying, no, we're not blaming parents or adults. What we're
No,
actually saying
no.
is that we're usually, we talk about inheritance.
Yes.
Oh, I inherited this, or something from my mother, something from my father. But the reality is we also inherit narratives, how we see the world and how we understand the world. So that's just it's like a
Mhm.
foundational point in which we launch off, which is
Yes.
why we don't see problems as they really truly are. And the second thing is
Mhm.
that we play down the stressors. We really do
Yes.
play them down.
Yes.
You're like, yeah, guilty. I feel that yes was a yes, I'm guilty.
Yes.
Right? So you're like, I'm just gonna confess to this woman. I'm just gonna
I confess, Jillian. I confess.
and one of the things that we say is that we don't want to appear weak.
Yes.
That might be the bane of our existence, appearing weak.
Hmm.
We have one set of societies like leaning into vulnerability and I'll be
Yeah.
vulnerable, be open. And then we're like, we can't appear weak.
Mm-hmm.
Again, an inheritance, something that was oftentimes culturally handed down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it comes in the form of, well, you're soft,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you have been told that you're soft, that's actually a negative. You're soft, you're sensitive, you can't handle it. I
Mm.
counter with, why should I handle it?
Yep.
Someone, I don't know, someone help me to understand why should I handle it? Why should we?
Absolutely.
And we have to ask these counter questions, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think of the archetype of the strong black woman, which is,
Ooh,
you know,
girl, go there
often just
again. We need it. We need it. Come on.
now I tend to say things that are really unpopular. Uh,
It's okay.
but I think we buy into it because I will have strong black women. I'll be talking to them and I'm trying to wrestle the cape off of them. Give me the cape, take off the cape. And they'll just sort of take the cape and tie it back on them. Because
Mm,
we, again, it's our perception of being weak. We like to do everything ourselves.
yeah.
We don't ask for help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because we're afraid.
Because we have to appear strong. See, these are all the things that we don't question. And unless we're having conversations like this that actually tease it out, we don't question
Mm-hmm.
it. We just buy into it.
Yes.
We don't question it. We buy into it, and we don't realize the harm that we've just bought into. Why are we doing it ourselves? Um,
Hmm.
Another place, which is a little bit controversial, but I'll go there, is the workplace. And I think maybe
Yes.
because oh, did I just get an amen on that
Yes.
one?
I got it. You got it. Amen, girl. You got it.
Here's the thing with the workplaces, and again, I'm that therapist who focuses on trends, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, what I mean by a trend, I don't mean like a social media trend. I mean the trend of people who come to me and I say, oh, one person, two, three, four,
Yeah.
oh, the last 15 people. And what
Yes.
I'm noticing is that for the most part, the workplace has boomeranged and decided to take care of itself and look at
Mm,
and focus on profits. And what I think we're seeing in a lot of workplaces is that they've gone back to putting profit before people. And in so
mm-hmm.
doing, they've people are ending up in a lot of toxic workplaces. Okay.
Yes.
Just had a client a little bit earlier on this afternoon, was just recently let go from their job.
Mm,
And here's the thing is, I always warn people, beef, there's those who get let go from their jobs, but also you need to, which is very hard and painful, but for the folks who need to stay and then do the work of the jobs of the people who've left, think
mm-hmm.
about those as well too. And
Absolutely.
so what I tend to find is I have a lot who say, I give 110%. I go above and beyond. And I say, are they giving you 110% of your pay? I
Absolutely.
mean, I'm just saying, I'm just saying,
Mm-hmm.
take it how you want. And then people
Yeah.
imply, oh, you expect me to do nothing in my job and just sit around. I said, I never actually said that. You interpreted it as that. What I did
Mm-hmm.
say is that, do you know what the reward for good work is? More work. And
Mm-hmm.
so we need to pace ourselves, because what I'm also
Absolutely.
hearing is that I'm doing all this work and I'm not getting rewarded for it and no one's seeing it and whatnot. What if we just went back in our lane and did the work that we could do? Because this
Mm,
work, we spend so many times at work, which is why it's such a big contributor of stress. And
yes.
oftentimes we may not be recognized, we may be looked over, we might miss promotions, we might get laid off, and then we are broken and shattered.
Yeah.
So it's such a key contributor of stress that it has to be mentioned. And how we manage at work, our
Mm-hmm.
perspective of work is really, because it ties into, the strong black woman. That's where it ties
Mm,
into.
yes. Absolutely. Like one thing that I like to tell my clients is that I hate saying it, but it's the way that we're seen. We're seen as being replaceable. So we could put our 110% into our work because we often do. Let's
Yeah.
get that real. And then every other area of our lives suffers. And then when we're let go or we're overlooked, we're left to pick up the pieces because we didn't even take the time to pay attention to the other areas of our life that are actually more important, like our relationships, our family, our health.
Our health, see, and our health, we I love how we always circle back to it,
Mm-hmm.
because oftentimes it's like I might see a client who's on a leave. I just needed to collect myself. I needed to come together. And it oftentimes takes them a really long time to go on a leave because
Yeah.
they'll say to me, I'm not sick. Sweet pea, your eye is twitching and you've got a heating pad the size of a rug on your shoulder. I think you're not well. Okay, but
Yes.
it's a definition, right? We
Mm-hmm.
even have to define ourselves as being
Yep.
sick, and what is sick enough. And then I don't like the word sick because then it means weak, and we just stay in the workplace, and then our blood pressure goes up and whatnot. The the research is out. This everybody knows that the correlation between stress and our
Absolutely.
health. And we have such in our community, high blood pressure,
Mm-hmm.
cholesterol, diabetes, it runs rampant. I was talking to someone and they said, I have maternal diabetes. It does run on the mother side of
Mm-hmm.
my family. And for the most part, I'm taking care of myself. And then I think it was a divorce and being laid off at work. And she
Mm-hmm.
said the diabetes just kicked in.
Yes.
We continue to ignore the role that stress plays. We're like, oh, I shouldn't eat this sugary candy or the sugary drink. What about how we expose ourselves to the stress? And
Absolutely.
I think that's why I repeat and I repeat, and I almost at the point where harp on a particular topic is because until that point lands, we are going to always run to healing and then continue to expose ourselves. Um,
Mm.
you know, another reason why I think we ignore is because we've got amnesia. We have amnesia.
Yes, we
Uh,
do.
we have amnesia, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and I have a really good friend, and
Mm-hmm.
she was working feverishly, like going to bed late, waking up early just to really hustle her job and things like that, not eating well, not exercising. It had some health implications in terms of her cholesterol and things like that. She'd gone to
Mm.
the doctor, she was on medication, she was changing her diet and whatnot. And we'd gone somewhere. She said, oh, tomorrow I'm going to go see my doctor, and if the levels of whatever it is okay,
Mm-hmm.
my doctor's going to take me off the meds. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. And she said, and I can go back to working late and getting up early in the morning. And
Oh.
but when I tell you she was serious, I actually thought she was joking, but she was like, yeah, I need to get back. I need to get some reports, da da da. I need to do this, and I need to do that. And I'm like, that's what I mean by amnesia. I say it in lightness,
Yes.
but how we are so able to return back into something
Mm.
with so much ease, and after we're feeling good, we really struggle to maintain that status of feeling good and relaxed. It's
Mm.
almost like trying to watch your aunt or your grandmother sitting on the couch watching TV. She got to get up and cook and get up and get the laundry and get up and do this and get up and do that, which is why we
Yes.
can't sit on the couch and relax.
Mm-hmm.
We
Absolutely.
have to.
Absolutely.
I'll be doing laundry and on my phone and doing like 4 or 5 other things. If we
Mm.
don't stop and pay attention to the behavior that we engage in on a regular basis, but we do it unconsciously we are
Mm.
not going to be able to get out of the loop of
Mhm.
stress.
Absolutely. And the thing is that we don't realize that everything is a cycle. And unless we do something different, we will not be able to break the cycle. If we go back into the same patterns, the cycle will continue. So, just like this person you were talking about, right? She broke the cycle. She was getting on the right track, but then there's a something on the inside that's like, I need to revert back to the old cycle. But the old cycle doesn't serve us, it actually can
Yeah.
harm us. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And I think the old cycle that you're referring to is kind of not this and this trend comes and goes. Every
Mm-hmm.
generation has its own version of it. But the what is called now, I think, is like the hustle and grind, right? Like the only way
Mm-hmm.
to get ahead is to have 7 streams of income, be the CEO with 4 companies, and like it just goes on
Yes.
and on and on, and you're never doing enough. And so I think we buy into that as a measure of success. But if you couple it with, I'm not weak, I'm strong, I can take it on, then you
Mm-hmm.
have a little bit of a dangerous recipe, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
It
we're almost
does.
like hardwired culturally.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think I've mentioned this before on another episode. Nothing hurt me more than when the pandemic had happened, COVID 19, and they were saying that our people were one of the most at risk groups for this virus. And you have to, when you hear these things, you have to take a moment to pause and ask why. So, Julian, I'm going to throw it at you. Why do you think that we're so predisposed to these things when they pop up as a people?
I think there's a variety of reasons. I can't go into the medical realm because that's beyond my lane. So I will not go beyond my lane. What I
Mm-hmm.
will go in is I will always stay in the lane that I know very well. And
Yep.
one of the things I know very well is that we will always rise to the occasion because we were taught to rise to the occasion no matter what. So our response to stress is to rise to it, not to retreat from
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you are always rising to stress, it just makes you more susceptible.
Yes.
It makes you more open. We have to be very, very careful with the correlation of stress equals this. What stress does, it opens the door. The
Yes.
question is, will it open door crack or will you just swing it wide open? So then you'll just find yourself coming down with more conditions that were perhaps dormant in your family that you probably
Yes.
may not get until you were 99. You may get it at 39 just because of how you are living your life. And part of that is how you're responding to stress.
Absolutely. And I think that this goes into the question that we have about maternal diabetes. Please elaborate on this as it may relate to stress. And this is from uh, Ajoa from Accra, Ghana.
So so maternal, means it's coming on the mother's side. Like, I mean, you can have
Mm-hmm.
paternal, you can have just diabetes floating in any other area of your family's life. But
Yes.
there's this there's so let's just say great grandma, you know, um, had it and passed at 50. Your grandmother also had diabetes and maybe passed
Mm-hmm.
at I'm gonna go down. Let's 60, yeah, 50s. So like 55. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because with medicine and advancement and things like that, we have more information about diabetes, right? Does that make sense? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, if you are the great granddaughter, right? Even though it does run on the female side, maternal
Mm-hmm.
side,
Mm-hmm.
with all the advancement that we know, take your steps, eat, drink lots of water, get 8 hours of sleep and things like that, you should probably be able to stave it off until you're about 70 or 80, right? With because we have much more education and things like that. So what happens is it's there. However, if you have unmitigated stress, a divorce, your children are acting up, you get fired and whatnot, and you're not dealing with it, it just opens the door for it. That's the best non-medical way of
Mm-hmm.
explaining it. No, it does not mean that just because you're under stress, you're going to have diabetes. Please do not make these straight
Yeah.
correlations. It just
Yeah.
means that if it's already there and you have stress that you're not addressing, meaning that
Mm-hmm.
you're resting, you're taking that nutrition, stepping away from a whole bunch of obligations, then you're just opening the door.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jesse from San Diego. They said, great program and topic. Thank you. The community needs these topics. Yes, Jesse.
Yeah, right. And I thank you for that. That I'm so glad that it's relevant because I always struggle
Yes.
with, oh, we're going to talk about stress, but I'm like, I see it. It
Yeah.
means that we're still not getting it. We're
Yes.
still not getting it. Like, okay, so Felicia, I'm going to put you on the
Yes.
spot. How do you know
Yes,
you're stressed?
please.
How
Oh
do you know when
man.
you're
I
stressed?
feel it. I feel it in my body.
Ah,
I feel it.
stop. I
I'm
just need to
mhm.
pause you for a second. See, everybody, you guys are going to get privy to like a mini psychotherapy session. You didn't even know it. You get to eavesdrop.
Holla. Yes.
Did you notice how she responded? She says, I feel it. She didn't say, I know it. She
Yep.
said, I feel it. We feel things in our body.
Yes.
Continue.
Yep. I start to clench my jaw. I know when I'm stressed because my jaw hurts a lot. And if I recognize it, I could feel it going like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to stop stressing. I need to take some time to breathe, right? Or my chiropractor will feel it. So I'll go to
Oh,
my chiropractor and she's be like, Felicia, your body's like a brick. And I'm like, I know, I'm so stressed. Right? And then also my relationships begin to get
ooh.
impacted also,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't want to engage with my kids in the same way, or I'm a lot more moody, or I'm a lot more tired, I have less energy. So I've learned over time to pick up on these cues to be like, all right, I need a break or I'm going to be in trouble.
Okay, so then you just came up with my return visit, which is because we're talking about the body, right? But can
Yes.
we also talk, and we'll just do like a sneak little preview on this, the impact on our relationship. So people will come to me and they'll say, I'm really stressed, I'm not doing well. How do you
Hmm.
know? Skin, stomach, all those wonderful things we just talked about. But then second thing they say is, which is my favorite, well, people around me have said I'm not doing well. And I said, how do they know you're not doing well? Right? They
Yep.
don't notice your skin. They don't notice you have you're having headaches or unless, but what they're doing is they are feeling you responding to your stress, right? They are feeling that.
Absolutely.
So usually the ripple effect, the fallout is how we end up interacting with people
Hmm.
around us.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
that's another, if it's not a tax, we'll call that one a toll, right? Like
Hmm.
it's another thing that we have to pay, right?
Absolutely. And I love that you highlighted that other people around us do recognize when we're stressed. You start hearing people ask you, "Are you okay?" a lot more, and you might be like, "Why you keep asking me if I'm okay?" But there's a reason because they pick up on the cues also.
Exactly. So what ends up happening is that we are shorter with other people, our loved ones and people around us. And it's because we don't have the bandwidth. We don't have the
Mm,
capacity. We are barely able to hold it together for ourselves. Now, you want me to
mm,
hold it together for you? Yeah, not
mm.
today, right? Not today.
We have a question in the chat, and I literally had to go like, "Ooh, I like this one. It's juicy." It's from Daniel from Toronto. When do we know that we have crossed the line from stress to distress? Woo!
Oh, wow.
Daniel, yeah.
That's actually really, really good. So what I would
Yes.
say is I feel that stress, we respond to stress, these external things, the news, getting fired, things like that. So we have a response to stress and we are stressed. I am stressed out right now.
Mhm.
I can't sleep. My stomach is bothering me and whatnot. Distress is actually not the biggest variation away from that, to tell you this truth, because then you're in distress. Distress feels a little bit more heightened. So if someone
Mhm,
came to me and said, I'm stressed, I'd be like, okay, what's stressing you? Like, but I'm in distress. It tends to mean that you're no longer regulated. You are starting to enter into the realm of where you almost can't control. So you probably can't sleep very well. You're probably not going to eat very well. You
mhm,
might have a hard time making decisions on how you can even take care of yourselves. So, do you know how to take care of yourself? No, no, no. I'm in such distress that I don't even know how. So, what ends up happening is that people usually have a toolbox of things they can do when they are stressed, right? So, you've got your breathing exercises, go for a walk, talk to a really good friend. Some people read the Bible, they pray, they meditate, whatever the case may be, have a cold glass of water. When you are in distress, you cannot use the tools in the toolbox. In
mhm,
fact, you probably don't even know where your toolbox is.
mhm, mhm,
And that's what I would think the distinction is. Distress is a bit of an escalation beyond the stress point.
mhm. And I love that you talked about that control piece because it's when we feel like we're out of control. We no longer have a handle on anything. So
Yeah.
you might find that you're crying uncontrollably or you just can't manage.
Well, this is it, and that's actually moving into that area of distress, because people will say, "I can't even identify it." Right? Remember how we
Mm,
had that? I started with that list. It could be this. It could be that. People, I don't even
yeah,
know. I don't even know. It's almost like being so prickly and
yeah,
so reactive. If
yeah.
somebody looks at you, you're going to have a response. That's when you're starting to move into the distress point, because
Mhm,
you can no longer identify. What I want you to be able to do is, yeah, you know what? My work is really stressing me out. My manager's micromanaging. I'm having some tension in my relationship. The children aren't listening. The finances are hard. What I like about that is that I get a clear articulation of what's actually happening. But when I
mhm,
start to get, oh, I don't know, I don't know, then we move into the body, right? Because I'm not going to
mhm.
get an articulation. So what is it? I don't know. I just can't sleep. I can't focus. I'm all over the, like, even the
Yep.
voice has has agitation to it. The hands are moving, and they are truly feeling it in their body at that time.
Mm,
And so there is no point, and it does take a little bit longer to be able to go, oh, I thought being micromanaged was, I didn't even know it was micromanagement. I didn't even know that, I've been
mm,
yelling at the kids. I didn't even know I haven't been eating well. So they start to be aware that they have not been taking care of themselves, and they have been under a lot more stress. I love to identify stress in people's lives, because
mhm,
once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
mhm,
You can choose to return back to it, but once you discover, oh, it's actually not me. I'm a really good worker. What I do, I'm under somebody who micromanages or belittles me. Oh, because then I won't. Because once the person has that realization, they won't internalize it. And
mhm,
that's a key thing around stress, right? Is the internal. Oh, I go to work, I'm no good, I'm lazy, I got to work harder. But when I work harder, this happens, and I feel so bad. And I go home and I yell at people and go, whoa, okay, we just spiraled. What happened there? And then we start to
mm,
talk, right? So when people ask what is therapy, it's untangling some of these pieces. And then it's like, oh, wow. So it is actually my manager, who, I'm picking on managers today, sorry folks, who's micromanaging or undermining me and things like that. Oh, so it's actually not me. So then they don't have to internalize that which they don't own.
mhm.
We internalize things that we cannot control, because at least if it's inside of me, I can control it. But if it's, I don't know, like a racist person or the economy or something like that, I can't control that.
Yes,
So internalization is a really big thing around stress.
absolutely. We have another comment. So it says we use stress loosely, and I'm glad you are breaking it down for myself and hubby. Thanks from Kanisha from Aruba.
Thank you. I am not one to like flinging around words. I just think there's just too many words that have we don't even
Yeah.
understand the meaning of them anymore, right? Oh, I'm so
Mhm.
stressed. I don't know what that means. Can you break that down? Like my son may say,
Yes.
"Oh, I'm so stressed." Because if he can break it down for me, he can identify, "Oh, you know what? I'm not really doing anything today. I'm bored." "Oh, so you're actually bored,
Mm.
right?" "Oh, I'm so stressed. Well, I have an assignment that's due and I don't know where to start." Okay, we've been able to articulate and clearly understand, right?
Mhm.
What it is. And once we get clarity around what it is, we can then make a plan to address it.
Mhm.
I'm going to study earlier. I'm going to do this. Oh, workplace is so stressed. Okay. I tell people, dust off your resume.
Mhm.
Start looking around, upgrading skills, right? I'm very
Mhm.
strategic like that, right? It's not
Yes.
this philosophical, oh, okay, this is stress. Well, deep breathing. No, sometimes you got to change jobs. Then take a deep breath, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we're actually in it, we're in the grind of it, it's hard for us to see the solutions or the pivots that we need to take.
Yeah. Because when we're in it, we don't see the doors. We actually think we're in a room with no doors.
Mhm.
We're in this, and I think my job as a therapist is to show them where the door is. In fact, there's two
Mhm.
doors and three windows, and we're on the ground floor. Jump, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna land on the grass. You're gonna be okay. But you're right,
Mhm.
because I think stress has this way of just making it feel like we are in this hole and we can't get out. And remember how I started with the stress on the outside. So even if you feel you've got things okay within your family, your unit,
Mhm.
we're good, then
Mhm.
there might be crime in your community, or there might be a whole bunch of job losses because companies
Mhm.
and then it gets a little bit closer, and then what's going on in the news, right? And I remember I for a lot of people don't know about this about me, but I do a lot of trauma work, and I've done a lot of
Mhm.
trauma work.
Mhm.
And I've worked oftentimes with refugees who have come to Canada in the war and torture. And I'll never forget, I had one
Mhm.
client, and he had come from absolute war and torture and devastation. And he had a lot of, and I'm going out of the realm here. I'm doing some deep trauma stuff, but you'll see the point. And he couldn't sleep. He really struggled to sleep, vivid memories and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
we've got all this wonderful protocol with dealing with people who've escaped war and torture. Only to discover, I said, after working a long time, I said, tell me about your day. I just got curious. I'm a very curious person. I'm a curious therapist.
Yes.
Tell me about your day. And he said, well, I wake up and I watch news for an hour or two. Then I go to ESL class, come back, and I watch the news for a little bit more. Then I have lunch, and then I go to the gym and I watch the news, and I have supper and I watch the news when I come back. And I said, so are we looking at like 5, 6 hours of news? And he said, yeah. And I said, why do you do that? He says, I need to know what's going on back home. Total legit, right?
Mm.
Totally legit. We do not take away
Mhm.
from people things that they're doing unless we ask the question, what is the purpose of it?
Mhm.
So I said, okay, that's cool. How about if we tweak it? How about if you watch it for like 20 minutes in the morning? Because I said it actually goes on repeat. If you
Mhm.
watched it once, 3 hours later, it's the same thing on repeat. So how about if you do 20 minutes in the morning?
Mhm.
I'll give you like another 20 minutes at lunch, and then at supper time, another 20 minutes, and nothing before bed. Nothing
Mm.
before bed. Why was he, why was the nightmares and everything just reduced significantly? Now, again,
Mhm.
people hear me out. I did not say not watching the news, but I'm just saying in this incident, we had journeyed
Yep.
so far. What does that mean? Right now, we have 24/7 news access anywhere in the world, anything that you want to know about. Just the simple exposure of that constant. And it's just not news. It's all the various social medias, these little bites that are coming at you, coming at you, coming at you. They
Mhm.
do work on your attention span. They do work on your nervous system. Somebody needs to please tell me I'm wrong.
Yep.
I'm open to being wrong. If you have spent 3 hours reading a book, going through the plot, the storyline, following it along, or painting or listening to music, is it the same experience than scrolling 3 hours? I suspect the experience is different. And that's what
Absolutely.
happens when we have that level of exposure. So when we talk about
Mhm.
stress, we actually have to clean out house
Yes.
to really figure out what are the things that are contributing cumulatively to our stress.
Absolutely. Because again, I think that this goes back to the tax we pay, right? And this keeps our body into, we call it hypervigilance, which is like on alert all the time, right? And that also has an impact on our physical cells, right?
We we were not meant to be hypervigilant all the time. We weren't. It
Mm-hmm.
was meant for a particular purpose, running away from something dangerous. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're not running away from anything. Why are we on alert? And our body will start to feel the impact of being on alert. Clenched jaws,
Mm-hmm.
the hands and the shoulders.
Absolutely, right? And this is again just a way of just how our body shows us that we are not feeling safe or we are not feeling at rest or at peace.
And what's really interesting about not feeling safe, for the most part, I can't speak for everybody's situation. For the most part, we're kind of technically safe.
Yes.
But if our body doesn't think we're safe, it's going to act
Yep.
in a particular way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jillian, as a mom, I love to kind of bring this to the next generation because I feel like once we know, now we can at least try to guide the next generation in a better direction than maybe what we've experienced. How do we not only inform our kids about this reality that stress is a tax that we pay, but what does this look like in a practical level as it relates to stress?
Tell your kids whatever you want to tell them, they're going to watch what you're doing. So if I get
Girl.
so what I do is I'll
Yes.
say, "Hey, I'm really stressed. I've had a really hard day. This is what made my day really, really hard." So I deconstruct it. I identify what made my day hard.
Mm,
Then I said, "I'm going to go to bed early." Or I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go to the gym. So they get to hear me say, I am stressed. That addresses this notion of trauma, being weak. then then
mhm,
i then i clearly identify what those stressors are, and then I
mhm,
say what I'm going to do about that. No one's coming to save us. We are that generation that has been sandwiched between what's your problem, what you got, what problems you have. So we are not going to pass that on to the next generation. What we are going to pass on to them is that, hey, you've been studying a long time. Is it time to take a break so you don't get too stressed, so you're fresh, so you can actually continue to study for your exams, or whatever the case may be? We have to lead by example, which is a great
yes,
call for all of us to start doing something so the next
mhm.
generation can see it.
Absolutely. So they are watching. They are always watching. And, we can uh, begin to mirror or at least show by example that it's okay to take care of yourself. In fact, we need to do that. Otherwise, it does show up in other areas. I think I'll also encourage the Love Bay family that if your child or teen comes to you and says, Mom, Dad, I'm stressed, please don't brush it off.
Yep, yep. Just go, what are you stressed about?
Yeah.
And then it starts the conversation for
Hmm.
both you and them.
Yes. Right. And don't say it with our sass, because us Caribbean, Afrocentric people, we can be very sassy and it's in our blood. But,
That's why when I was prepping and I said, "What's your problem?" That's actually not a question. It sounds like a question. It's actually a statement. don't answer it. And I had to chuckle to myself because that's that sassiness, right?
Right? Be like, oh, you're feeling stressed? Okay, so tell me what's stressing you out, you know?
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Then share your stressors and have the conversation. We need to have
Yeah,
more and more and more conversations around the dinner table. If we don't, the next generation's not going to be any more ahead in terms of being able to identify and cope with mental health.
absolutely. You know, Jillian, if there is anything you wanted to share, any last thoughts that you wanted to share with our Love Bay family with relates as it relates to stress, the tax we pay, what's the final thought that you want to leave with us tonight?
We don't have to pay the tax, unlike the tax we actually have to pay. We don't
You,
actually have to pay it. What we can do is just take care of ourselves. And if we just
yes.
take care of ourselves on a daily basis, that's just
Hmm.
really the most important. I think I want everybody to just acknowledge, recognize what you're experiencing, own it,
Yeah.
say it's okay. I'm okay. I'm still an amazing person and able to do amazing things. Don't shy away from it.
I love it. I love it. Well, there you have it, Love Bay family. Another episode of the Mental Health Hour. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Jillian, for
Thanks for
your
having
expertise.
me.
Girl, it was a pleasure. It was an honor. And until next time, next week, Love Bay family, we have the amazing Simone Donaldson who's going to be joining us. So until next week, take care. Peace out.